Hey everyone, we are live here from the MIgardener channel. Really excited for this live stream event. Hopefully you all are going to enjoy. We have with us a super special guest, Melissa Caughey. She is the award-winning author of two awesome books on keeping chickens. I have one right in front of me here. This one is her newest book, How to Speak Chicken. Award-winning author of two awesome books on keeping chickens. I got two pages going on here. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. I had the YouTube page going on, and I had the, there we go. All right. So these things happen when it's live. Can't edit those things out. So anyway, so she is the award-winning author of two amazing books, How to Speak Chicken and A Kid's Guide to Keeping Chickens. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Melissa Caughey. Melissa?
Hey, Luke. Hi, guys. Thanks for having me today. This is so much fun. Glad to be able to.
Yeah, so Melissa, when it comes to keeping chickens, I'm going to first start off by letting you know I would love chickens. I think Cindy would as well. Cindy, by the way, is actually, for everyone watching live, Cindy is actually monitoring questions. She's going to be getting the questions in, fielding them live, so keep them coming. But I'm also going to ask a few of my questions that I might have, and you all might have some as well, because Melissa, I like to consider kind of the she's the queen of chickens, in my opinion. I've been following her for a while. We watched, or we actually met at an event that P. Ellen Smith was putting on.
Right.
I was there for the kind of the gardening side, and Melissa was there for kind of the chicken side. You also garden, correct?
Chickens
you were there
and beekeeping, and yeah, I'm a master gardener too. So
that is awesome.
Yeah. So we are fist bumps all the way.
Yeah, so so one of the things is I'm completely new at this. So I guess the first thing that I guess I would have a question with is what got you started? Because I want to talk about your book first, obviously.
Okay.
And but Geneva's with us as well, so she makes a cameo.
It's getting so big.
Yeah, so first off, what got you into, first of all, keeping chickens, and also what led into kind of you writing books about them, kind of what inspired you?
Sure. Well, I think probably like I watch you guys all the time, and I see how inspired you get with just your surroundings and wanting to try new things and do new things. And I think that kind of happened for me. The Buy Fresh, Buy Local movement is huge on Cape Cod. And we started to see chickens all over, sprinkled in these neighborhoods and stuff. And I thought, well, gosh, what are all these people keeping chickens for? Here I am, a gal from Los Angeles, moved cross country, and all of a sudden, people are gardening and really trying to know more about their food. Not that Angelinos don't do that, but their yards are the size of, a postage stamp. So essentially, the kids wanted a puppy. They were 3 and 6 years old. And I was like, no way. Nobody is sleeping through the night. I can't add a puppy to the mix. So I thought, well, gosh, maybe chickens could be pets. I really wasn't sure, but I wanted to kind of give it a try. And when, of course, we know about the fresh eggs. There's nothing better than a pet that would lay breakfast for you. And when we did get the chickens, I quickly discovered that they put themselves to bed at night. They go to roost at night as soon as it's dark. So that was kind of a win-win for me. And I thought to myself, you don't know if you're going to like something unless you try it. So it was also kind of a good lesson for my kids. Like, hey, let's give this a whirl. Let's try it. Let's research over the winter to learn all about chickens. And we gave it a go one spring in 2010, and the rest is history.
Yeah. So obviously your first book was an absolute blockbuster of a book. I mean, it did extremely well. We're so proud of you for your
that book. You guys are so sweet.
A Kid's Guide to Keeping Chickens. Obviously, I'm not a kid, but I myself would probably read it because it's one of those books. I think oftentimes people kind of assume a kid's guide, but me myself, I would honestly feel like reading it because knowing nothing, I'm kind of starting from where a kid would also start in just basic knowledge. So that book obviously came first.
Yeah.
So,
And I like to think of it as a family's guide, Luke. So, you know, even though it is geared for kids, it's geared for kids that are 8 to 12 years old, because I really believe in empowering kids, empowering our future, and giving them all the knowledge they need to know to be successful. And so that's what I did. I really wanted this to be a partnership between generations, a multi-generational book.
Oh,
And
cool. That's awesome.
that's really what my goal was for that one.
So, but awesome. So before we get into some questions, though, what also led you to write your second book? Did you feel like there was more? Did you feel like you wish you would have written more in your first book, so you added a second book, or was it in addition to the second or the first book, or what kind of led you to the second book?
Well, every kind of project you work on where there's an editorial staff and everything else, whether it's movies or whether it's writing, or probably for you guys too, stuff ends up on the cutting room floor, right? And certainly, you know, there's a budget and you can only include so many things in it. And so I wanted to include with the kids book just the real basics, everything people needed to get started to keep the chickens. But when it came to how to speak chicken, this book kind of stemmed from me traveling around the country and giving presentations and teaching people how to get started with backyard chickens. And one of my talks, part of my talk, and I alluded to it a little bit in the kids guide, is that I had figured out that I kind of understood what the chickens were saying. I kind of was taken into their world.
Right.
Am I the crazy chicken lady yet?
Yeah.
Just a little. But I started hearing the same vocalizations and then trying to be a scientist myself with my background in medicine, just thinking, well, gosh, what does that mean? I'm seeing this associated with this. And so I started mimicking the calls, listening, and then I went and started doing a lot of research that was out there and realized, you know what, I'm not a crazy chicken lady, because they do have approximately 24 vocalizations that we scientists know what they mean. And there's probably more. And when I gave the presentations around the country, I would teach people how to speak chicken a little bit. And that was the moment when I could hear a pin drop. and I also had the best audience participation. And I thought, you know, I'm kind of onto something. And because people have grown to incorporate chickens as pets, people really want to connect to chickens like they would a dog or a cat. And I thought, you know, I have this knowledge like you guys. I need to put it into something and I need to share it. And so that's kind of how book number 2 came along.
Wow, that is really awesome. First off, I mean, super cool book. I've read just a few pages here and there. It's been our busy season. I've been trying to kind of pick away at it.
Away at it.
Yeah, I've been pecking away at it. No pun intended, but
this book also has a lot of the terms that we use.
I love how graphical it is. I think that's one of the really nice things. I don't know if anyone live stream. Don't freeze frame and print the pages. You're not allowed to do that. But but the pictures are phenomenal. I really think that's cool because one of the biggest things for me is if I'm learning, I'm a visual learner as well as and even though I mean the pictures aid the text so much. I think that's just such a fascinating thing you've incorporated into your book, and I've really found it to be super interesting. So, terrific job on the book, Melissa. Really happy for all of your success. And also, before I forget, shameless plug to Melissa's blog. It's called Tilly's Nest. We'll make sure to put, if I have not yet already, in the description box below, a link to her blog. Make sure to check that out. Anyone that's interested in beginning with keeping chickens, again, she's a wealth of information and definitely someone that I always kind of follow the mantra. If I don't know what I'm talking about, I'm not going to act like I know what I'm talking about. So I go to people like Melissa, and even a lot of times with gardening, I'll go to them and I'll say, look, you know more than I do, clearly. So, I want to be a sponge off of you. So for everyone watching here, that's why we're having Melissa on, because I've been really interested in keeping a chicken or 2, maybe 3.
No, you can't keep one. They're a flock.
Yeah, okay. Maybe at least 3.
Yes. At least 3, 4. We're gonna have you start with four little girls, 4 chicks. this spring.
So maybe 4. Who knows? I guess that will lead into my first question too.
Yes.
Because so Cindy and I have talked about possibly keeping chickens. And so the first question that I would have is, where do you start? Like what are kind of those things you need to start? Obviously you need chickens.
Yeah.
But for someone like me, where do you go to get, do you buy I'm going to sound very stupid right now, but
there's no stupid, please. No.
Okay. So do you start with baby chickens always, or is it sometimes better to go with like a mature, I'm sorry, let me rephrase. So
I know what you mean. I've read
all along the way. What came first, the chicken or the egg, right? So
Sure.
do you start with a chicken to get used to the chicken, or do you start with eggs and then breed? Because I feel like I'm already overwhelmed with the whole process of the whole. Hopefully you can break it down for me.
Okay. So the first thing that I recommend is going down to your local library. Go down to your local library and pick up some winter reading all about chickens, about chicken coops, about keeping chickens, and just, when you're bored or it's snowing and you're dying to get outside in your backyard and you're not filling seed orders out of your basement and hopefully soon to be shop, you can kind of just peruse through it in the evening after Geneva goes to bed, and start just kind of researching what it's like to keep chickens to get an idea. Mm-hmm. The second step is to look at your local laws and ordinances, because some towns do have regulations as to how many chickens you can keep, whether or not you can have roosters and things like that. So you want to, and setbacks and things from the property line. Some towns have very stringent laws, some don't. And if you have like a homeowners association, usually there's a livestock clause in there that tells you can't keep chickens, unfortunately. So those are like the first things I should point out.
Right. I know here in Michigan, we can. I've already looked into that aspect. And in our current county, you can have up to 5 chickens.
Perfect.
You can't have any roosters. Okay. So the male chickens, yes. Yeah. So you can have up to 5 hens, but you can't have any roosters. And that's in a city. Within the city limits. If you live rural, obviously that changes. But so that's good to know for sure, and I'll definitely be doing that. Yeah.
So let me tell you about the egg versus the baby chick versus the pullet or the cockerel. Okay, so because you can't have any roosters, I would not suggest you hatching your own eggs and incubating them. You could. It's really cool. But with a 50-50% chance that you're going to get, 50% girls and 50% boys, you're going to end up with some roosters. And okay. So you'll have to figure out how to get, rehome them a lot of times. And unfortunately, some people will just want to eat them. If you want to grow meat birds, you could do that. But that's a whole nother talk. And I'm talking about chickens as pets, pets with benefits of eggs and things of that nature. So now you've got 2 options. You have day-old chicks, or you can get birds that are already laying, which would be a female hen under the age of 1. They're called a pullet or a cockerel, not a hen or a rooster. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you can get pullets and you can get cockerels, but you would get pullets, and those mean that they're laying eggs. The benefit of getting day-old chicks is that they will do a little bit of imprinting on you so that you become part of their flock. They're comfortable around you. They will approach you. They'll sit in your lap. They really incorporate you into their daily living. Does that make sense? Whereas the pullets can be more skittish because they haven't been raised by you. They've probably only met the farmer here and there to do maintenance, but really hasn't wanted to try and make that bond or that relationship with the animal, with the chicken. So for you guys, I think day-old chicks is the way to go. And you can get those at your local feed store or even order them in the mail.
Wow. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. So that definitely clears up a lot of kind of the stress that I was feeling. Is like, I feel like when I started looking at the different options out there, I really was unsure of what would work, what kind of where our beginner would start.
Yeah, I will also give a plug, a shameless plug. Well, actually, I really love this company. They're called mypetchicken.com. And you can go on to My Pet Chicken. And the second thing I was going to encourage you to do is research the breeds. So like cats and dogs, there's different temperaments and different things associated with the different breeds, from the color of the egg they lay, whether they're skittish, whether they're friendly, how big they get, whether they can handle being in a chicken coop or they'd rather run free, all those things. And they have something called, on the left-hand side, head over there and check out the breed selection tool. And then you plug in your heart's desires, you answer the questionnaire, and then all of a sudden it spits out a screen full of chicken heaven. All options like you would for seed packets, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm having Cindy plug in the the link to that for people that want to check it out in the the chat bar on the side. So
the other good thing I should mention about them is they also have they don't have a 25 chick minimum order. So sometimes people will split the order because they make you do 25 chicks. They, if you live in more rural areas, they'll do 6 chicks and they'll do 3. And then you can also have the chicks sexed, which means there's actually people who train in Japan to learn how to sex day-old chicks to tell whether they're males or females. I mean, that might be a good MIgardener field trip.
Yeah, for sure.
But so you can get all females, and then you want to you have them immunized because there's some really nasty diseases, just like for people. And you know, to get a chick, you're talking only a few dollars.
Wow, that is not too bad at all, actually, in terms of cost.
No. So the most expensive thing is the chicken coop.
Okay. Yeah, well, I did see some of those. They weren't too bad. I mean, you're looking at probably the ones I saw. I think there was one from Tractor Supply was selling one, and it was kind of one of those pre-assembled kits. I don't know if we can maybe get into that when we actually answer a few, hopefully more than a few questions from some viewers.
Sure.
I saw were like $350 to $400, which seemed, I mean, for me, pretty inexpensive for something that you're going to get. I mean, goodness.
Right. But I mean,
what? Eggs for as long as the chickens are alive, right?
Right.
So.
I think the other thing too is that if you're handy, like you seem to be, right? You're a pretty handy guy.
I hope. I hope. Not as handy as sometimes I hope I am.
The thing is, you know, there's pallets out there that can be upcycled and recycled, old doors, windows. You can go over to Habitat for Humanity and pick up a lot of salvage pieces. And if you're handy, you can really even build a chicken coop for free. So that's the beauty of it, you know, just upcycling things. Yeah.
That is a good point too. So I want to get into some viewer questions. Melissa, I don't know. I don't want to put you on the spot with anything.
Put me on the spot. It's just fine. I'll say pass, just like we're on a video game, like some kind of game show. What is that game show where they're facing each other? Yeah, the $25,000 pyramid. Yeah, I think you'll be able to probably get most of these because I think we're talking to mostly people that are probably in the same boat as myself. So, you want to shout out a question?
So, being a rooster.
Do you need a rooster to keep chickens? Who say their name and their question. Okay, yeah. So quite a few people are asking, do you need a rooster to keep chickens?
No. No, you don't need a rooster to keep chickens. The rooster is there for flock protection. The rooster is also there to procreate, to make baby chicks. But hens, chickens, female hens, pullets, if they're less than a year or over a year, a hen will continue to lay eggs despite having a rooster present or not. And if you do have a rooster, you need at least 7 to 12 hens per each rooster to prevent overmating. They have their favorites.
Yeah. So, Cindy, you can shout out. Just keep shouting them out. You're good.
Okay, about keeping them in the winter time, like how do you keep them?
Okay, so question that come up.
There was someone an opposite.
Yeah.
So experience, but it was too hot.
So someone was wondering about weather extremes, hot or cold.
Okay.
When it comes to like winter and summer, what do you do or what do you suggest?
Yep, so there's actually cold hardy breeds and heat hardy breeds. So if you live in a colder climate, you want to make sure that you get cold hardy breeds. And if you live in a warmer climate, heat hardy breeds. And so the colder climate usually has smaller wattles and combs, the red fleshy part, because they're less prone to frostbite. And then in heat hardy areas, the chickens will have larger combs and wattles to help exchange the heat and regulate their body temperature. But
I had no idea that's what they were for. I thought that was like a
they
major
don't have sweat glands, so chickens, that's how they regulate their body temperature. And if the rooster is considered, you know, that's a level of attractiveness to hens, what his comb and wattle looks like when he dances for his ladies, called tidbitting, to try and woo their affection. But getting back to the cold hardy and heat hardy, if you have cold hardy breed and you live in Michigan and it snows, that's okay. I want you to think of those wild birds outside. There are some that fly south for winter, correct?
Yes.
So they can't really hang out there. But the blue jays, the cardinals, and the like will stay there because they're cold hardy breeds and they do just fine. That's also why you don't want to ever heat a chicken coop, okay? Because it can cause fires. And so you don't worry about chickens because they're not mammals like you or I. They're birds. They're avian. So they don't give live birth. They don't have hair. All of those things that separate us out. So
Gotcha.
What you feel is cold may not be interpreted in the same way as a chicken would.
Oh, cool. That definitely answers. I mean, that's a question that I would have had. I'm glad people are asking these things.
Yeah, great questions.
What's another one?
Jared asked, is a 4-inch chain link fence high enough to keep chickens in my yard? So I guess
you can just tell me and I'll relay because I'm not sure if they'll hear you. I'm not sure if you heard the question or not.
4-inch chain link fence? Yeah.
So Jared asks if a 4-foot chain link fence will be enough to protect your chickens, or I guess what would a proper height be to protect your chickens from predators?
So is Jared keeping the chickens? I'll answer it both ways. One, I'm going to assume that Jared has a neighbor with chickens and he doesn't want them in his yard. The answer is no. Chickens can fly about 6 feet high if they really want to. And so it won't keep chickens out of the yard. It'll deter them. So therefore, it won't keep chickens in a pen either. And you really have to be careful because the predators that would want chickens can attack from not only the ground, like coyotes or raccoons, they're day and night predators. There's also aerial predators. So you're thinking hawks, birds of prey, things like that, and even animals that can climb up and over a fence. So really, you want to use 1/2-inch hardware cloth is really the best if you're going to do any sort of outside enclosure. And chickens need about 10 square feet of outside space in their protected enclosure. And I do that with hardware cloth. It's welded wire, and that works really well. And around the run, I create an apron with that, about 3 feet out, and then you can put on some wood chips or mulch or something, and that prevents from digging predators that try to get in. And then some kind of roof structure on the run.
So what would be a digging predator? I guess because I'm new to the predators. What are predators? I mean, obviously, like
fox,
dogs, or
yep, fox will do it. You know, bears, cats, all sorts of different things will dig. Rats will dig. Anything that burrows under the ground. So you just kind of want to be cognizant of those things. I always tell people to go over predator proofing prior to starting. Don't predator proof after the fact. And so that's really important. And on my website, there's a ton of free posts for all of these things: selecting the breeds, predator proofing, building a chicken coop, design ideas, all those things. If you head over to Tilly's Nest and just go across the top of the website, there's tabs with pull downs, and you should be able to really find what you need. And if not, try the search bar too.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like the plug. That's important for people to know. So I think I know you have a son that's in a Christmas play, right, or something like that.
Yeah, he plays in the orchestra. So I probably have about 10 more minutes. But you know, if people really like this and enjoy this, I'd be happy to come on, say after the holidays again, and we can have the viewers email you questions or post them on this video, and then we can pick up where we leave off.
Yeah, I would love that. That would be terrific.
Yeah,
And I really like
really
to
fun.
maybe an ongoing series, because I know, I mean, as we kind of possibly embark on this journey, hopefully,
Yeah.
I'm sure it will probably be something that we'll want to make kind of a regular thing. And I know anytime you can, plug a book is always welcome. On my show, you can plug your book. I love it, Melissa. So,
Oh, thank you.
more questions,
Sure.
and just pick the ones, and then we'll get around away, because I don't want you to be late to see your son.
No worries. No worries. It's not snowing, so we're good here.
It's snowing like crazy
That's
here.
what you told me earlier. Yeah, I can't believe it. I bet it's beautiful.
We're supposed to get about 9 inches of snow
Oh my
tonight.
goodness. Wow.
Not looking forward to shoveling out in the morning, but
Oh gosh.
Michigan, we're ready for it. Okay, so we had a question come up. Mike asked a question about a chicken tractor. Have you had experience with one? Are there any pros and cons to using it? What would you recommend when it comes to a chicken tractor?
Okay, so a chicken tractor, for those people who are wondering what they are, it's a smaller chicken coop that's portable on wheels, and you can wheel it around your yard from place to place wherever you want to move your chickens, which is a really awesome concept. And some people will actually have a larger chicken coop and then have a tractor in addition. The tractor is super beneficial to get your chickens to new grass, to new pasture, and you can move that tractor when it's getting a little worn out, so you don't completely get down to dirt. I think that tractors are good. You can't have a ton of chickens in those tractors, maybe 4 to 5, and definitely want to let them out because sometimes they're not so big, but they're really super convenient. And in fact, we took a tractor and brought it over to the school because there were some termites living in the garden beds, and we actually used organic pest control, IPM, integrated pest management, and those little chickens, we had to bring them back up because they ate all the termite. They ate a whole nest, and it was really, really a great way to control where our flock was going. And people will sometimes even make tractors that sit on their raised beds and move them along throughout the season. Because
I imagine they probably eat a lot of grubs and
grubs,
all these in your soil.
Yep.
That is terrific. That's great for people who are trying to integrate more. Because again, that's another prime reason why we had you on, is because I mean you're so passionate about not only gardening but chickens, and I think you definitely have an overlap where they're they can be very beneficial. I mean, vegetable scraps going to the chickens, and chickens helping keep the vegetables pest free. So
and the manure. Chicken manure is one of the best things to make the compost with. I mean, you can't beat it. It does have to cure because you can't put it directly on your garden or your plants because it has a high ammonia content. It will burn your plants. But you put it aside for 3 months, compost it, and it is amazing. I mean, you can't. People are buying this stuff at garden centers in bags, and I have an endless supply. So.
Can't be free.
It's
so
free. It's free.
Let's do one more, honey, and then we'll close.
Was about molting. I'm not sure what molting is, but I guess it has to do with eggs being laid, because she asked that for female chickens have not been laying eggs for 2 months now.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So a user said that her chickens have kind of stopped laying, and maybe reasons why they would stop laying, or what happens if they stop laying.
Did I hear Cindy say something about molting?
Yeah, she did. Yeah,
yeah. So when chickens are over a year old, so after 1 year old, so when they're approximately 2 years old, they will go through something called a molt. And a molt is when they replace every single feather on their body. Most of the time, sometimes they'll do like a partial molt, but essentially they're replacing their feathers. The feathers will fall out systematically, starting at the head, going down to the tail, and they just fall out. Sometimes you go into the chicken coop and it looks like a chicken exploded. You want to know where the naked chicken is, because surely this chicken cannot have any feathers left. It's very, very comical to watch. But when they're molting, they do stop laying eggs, and they decrease laying eggs because eggs are mostly protein, and so are feathers. And so when the body is given a choice as to what to make, the hen is going to make feathers. So you can temporarily, and I stress temporarily, give them a high protein supplement. So you can give them dried mealworms, sunflower seeds, things of that nature. But the eggs should come back. But the molt usually happens late summer to even now. Some chickens are partially through. Mine have stopped laying because they're finishing up their molting. But I should also mention that the brain needs a stimulation of 14 hours of light. So if they don't have 14 hours of light, they're not going to lay eggs. So.
Gotcha. And so I guess a final leading on question to that is there how long will a chicken lay eggs for? Because I mean, do they lay eggs for like 5 years and then they stop, or like 2 years and they stop, or like what's the lifespan of a egg laying chicken?
Sure. So chickens will lay chickens will start laying eggs at about 18 to 20 weeks of age. And then once they start, it's like egg heaven. I mean, they just keep laying eggs and eggs and eggs. And you'll have so many eggs in your fridge, you'll be like giving them to your neighbors. Like, please take these eggs.
Oprah Winfrey, you get an egg.
Put them in the chute at the bank and let it go up and over because, oh, you got eggs coming out of your ears. And they'll lay eggs like that for about the first 2.5 years of their life. And then it slowly tapers down. Hens have the ability to lay an egg their entire life, but it slows way down. And the average life of a chicken is 5 to 7 years. That's their natural life. So the thing is that most people will integrate chicks or younger chickens when their flock is aging. But people are tending now to have their chickens live out their natural lives. And so I've actually been working with some of the popular feed companies to try and get something for our aging flocks, nutrition for the old girls.
Right. Yeah, well, I'm sure just like as we age,
yes,
our nutrition changes as well. And our bodies change, the chicken's age, and that's something really interesting. Yeah. I wouldn't have thought, to really be. I mean, obviously, I haven't started yet, but I mean, once I start, it'd be something to know is that their diet probably does change a lot as they mature.
It's like Centrum for chickens.
Well, that is a very good stopping point. I'm really glad we're able to answer at least a good amount of questions. Obviously, never as many as come in, and so for anyone watching live, I'm very sorry that we did not get to all of the questions, but with only a certain amount of time, hopefully we got to as many as we could in the time that we had. But again, I really want to thank Melissa for coming on here and sharing her knowledge with us, and also for taking the time to write these awesome books, because one thing that I can say about books is that they have so much information in them. And even though we're on technology, even though we are on YouTube and everyone says, oh, just go to YouTube, you can't forget, you cannot discount books in the least. They are a wealth of information that if the power goes out, you can still learn. And, if something happens to your computer, you can still learn. And so I never, ever, ever discount books. They are a wealth of knowledge. And so Melissa has so graciously put information into 2 books. Now, remember, folks, this is just her second book, which you can get at Amazon. We'll post links to it in the description box below. But this is How to Speak Chicken. And she has another book, her very first book, which is an Amazon bestseller, which is A Kid's Guide to Keeping Chickens. So I want you all to check it out if you're on the fence about these type of things. And Melissa, is there anything else you can give them one more nugget before we sign off?
I think the last piece I would say is you don't know if you like something unless you try it. So you got to go for it. Take that leap of faith, because I did. I had no idea whatsoever that I would be a chicken lady writing chicken books. And, life is an amazing journey, and you just have to enjoy the ride sometimes and just let your worries go and realize that some pretty amazing things can unfurl along the way if you just let it go. So, yeah.
That is the truth. Well, Melissa, I appreciate you coming on and spending time with us. We will
thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
definitely have to do another follow-up. We have a little
Definitely.
time, and we'll hopefully get a lot of questions. So for anyone watching that did not get their questions answered or is watching this post live stream, put your questions in the comments box below. Maybe we'll get Melissa a YouTube channel. I think you were trying to start one at some time.
I have no idea. I don't think I'm very good at this video stuff.
But take a leap of faith, just like we do.
Oh, yeah, right? My own advice.
Yeah, so maybe we can get her a YouTube channel, or at least a YouTube account, and she can answer some of your questions,
Sure.
and so that we can get more people keeping chickens, because I think it's really where we need to be going, and it's something that's really going to, I think, help a lot of gardeners out, kind of complete that cycle of where your food is coming from, and so I'm really happy we did this, Melissa. Really happy.
Thank you so much, you guys, and just give my regards and my hellos to Cindy and Geneva, and happy holidays, and thank you so much for having me here.
Geneva, come say bye. Come say bye to Melissa. She wants to say bye. Come over here. So before we sign off, I also I want to let everyone know that we are going to have an episode Friday. This is not.
Hi. Oh my gosh, she's getting so big.
This is our this is our midweek episode when we have extra content. We do have something coming out very exciting. Geneva muted my computer there with her foot. So we are going to have an episode Friday for everyone that is watching. Geneva, want to make a quick video?
She likes Geneva, the book.
Okay, say hi to Melissa. Here we go.
Hi.
And there you go. You get your little cameo. Hi. Say hi. All right.
Look at that smile.
Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for coming on, Melissa. And as always, folks, we always say this. Hopefully you will learn something new. Hopefully you enjoyed. And hopefully you all are growing big or going home. This is Luke and Melissa from the MIgardener channel, reminding you all to grow big or go home. Get yourself some chickens. And we'll catch you all later. See ya. Bye.